At party's presidential primary, and Ghana Standards Authority stops operations of gas cylinder plant. Ghana Trade and Commerce hosts awards, honors Dr. Oting, JC and others.
The Ghanaian Times is reporting this morning it's John Mahama again wins landslide victory, and there is very sad news on the front page. Blacksmith jailed 7 years for sodomizing 9-year-old son, and it's also on the front page that Information Ministry is giving out details of this year's Independence Day anniversary, which we're told will be happening somewhere in Tamale.
The Daily Guide has the Mahama story. This one, Mahama whips rivals by 95%, same as 2016. 3 NDC executive beating to power up in Yeji. Yana makes key appointments and disband your vigilante groups first. Mosquito tells Nana. Last story on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. Sam George dents Mahama's victory. That's on page 6.
The Finder is reporting this morning that Anas piles pressure on Sani Dara to defend 25 million Ghana cedi suits. There's one on government resourcing armed forces with fleet of vehicles. Then spectacle that you'll be interested in seeing. Garbage at frontage of Jubilee House Army officers mess. And it's complete mess as we see here on the front page of the Finder.
The New Crusading Guide newspaper. Vote buying rocks NDC primaries. Mahama buys delegates with cash food to emerge flag bearer. Akufo-Addo hails overlord of Dagbang for sealing peace reconciliation process. Also on the front page of the New Crusading Guide. SONA 2019 big boost for SHS affordable housing coming soon.
Now, the Herald is reporting this morning that Chinese tilapia farm has been ordered to close down. There is one on Deputy AG breaking silence on Dubai meeting with Namwan. Pictures of Penka, Namwan, and also Brian Echampo on the front page. Mahama leads NDC is on the front page of the paper too. Cities 4 causes panic among foreign investors. Those are the stories the Herald is.
The Daily Statesman newspaper. NDC misses the plot. Same old John Mahama. Stay out of Ponzi schemes. President cautions soldiers against lure of big returns.
Now, this is how the Chronicle captures the NDC's engagement over the weekend. Blows and blood. Grace NDC presidential primary. Sam George goes ballistic on Adekuka. And that's on the front page with Nigeria president to grace Independence Day celebration. That's if he's still president at that time. But he may be president.
Interesting.
Even if he loses, he will still be president by then.
But he may not be a president elect.
Yes.
Interesting observation though, Raymond. Okay, so let's start, shall
I
we?
have the Daily Graphic newspaper, the last paper I have. It's Mahama again, NDC, on NDC ticket for 2020, likely to slug it out with President Akufo-Addo. Examine free SHS policy dispassionately. That's Dr. Robert Esiedu. Stanchart launches full digital bank on mobile, aims at deepening digital payments in Ghana. Speaker Aned, Nigerians wait anxiously for poll results. Back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Tego beats Gusev to win WBO Global IBF international titles. Kotoko lose 1-3 to Nkana in Zambia. Those are the stories on the back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper.
And there is fire on the heels of the anti-RTI campaign. That is Adasi Asoko MP KT Hammond. The youth in this area is descending on him. That's what's been reported by the Ghanaian Observer. There is also one about vote buying rocking the NDC, Mahama's second coming. There's also another one, Mahama, and this time around it's from Deputy Minister of Information. He says the former president is suffering from deliberate amnesia. Those are the stories on the front page of the Ghanaian Observer.
And Malik Abbas Dabo's first story has its own soundtrack.
Hey, cowboy! Hey, yes, hey, yes, damn, it's back. Never, ever size. Hey, cowboy! Nana,
So I think congratulations are in order to Mr. John Mahama, for winning the presidential primaries.
Okay.
But will Nana hear Bobole in 2020?
Yes, so Daniel, this headline reminds me of a similar headline in 2008. In 2008, when Mr. Mahama was selected by then candidate Mills as his running mate, Daily Graphic story was, it is John and John. And there was a reason for that. Daily Graphic had done a story that he was going to be picked as running mate to the good prof. And there was anger. The party was very angry. They issued a statement condemning the Daily Graphic for the story. Subsequently, when it was confirmed, the headline was, it is John and John. This headline is, it is John Mahama again. And we know the facts already. Former president polled 213,487 votes to completely annihilate 6 others who challenged him for the leadership of the NDC. That figure represented 95.23% of the total valid votes cast. That is actually an improvement on what he obtained when he competed against No in the 2016 elections. It was
because when he went unopposed, it was JM yes or no.
Yes.
So he competed against No.
Yes. So in that election, he did 95.10%, and this one he did 95.23% to beat the rest of the 6 candidates. Altogether polled 4.77% of the total valid votes cast.
And No polled more in 2016.
Yes, No polled more in 2016 than this.
Interestingly, the extra numbers beyond the 200,000 is more than the votes that most of these candidates got.
Yes.
30,000 to be fair.
Charlie, serious. But Malik, it's an emphatic statement by the John Mahama camp, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is, and there's good reason for that. And if you check our recent history, many of the presidential candidates have tended to win big, and they win massively, which means internal democracy itself, for some reason, when the delegates take a decision, they go all out and endorse that decision. And I think that's what we are seeing in this election. It's an emphatic win.
Of course.
The rest of the other 6 candidates have all conceded defeat. They've called him to congratulate. I think the funniest one is Professor Joshua Alabi, who said that when he called the former president, he told him that but the gap is too much.
Have you seen that video of Professor Alabi granting an interview before the election? He said, aren't you proud that you're talking to the president? But Raymond, after the NDC's national executive election, it became quite clear that Mr. Mahama had a heavy influence on the party, didn't it?
Yes, it was pretty obvious right from the time that they did the national executive elections. And I've been saying that some people are taking cue from that particular election either way. And again, I've been asking this question. The people who contested John Dramani Mahama, and this is the first time we have seen 7 people contest that election before. I've always been below that number anyway. The John Mills.
You mean
time,
for the NDC?
Yeah, they were 4.
Yeah, for the
You're talking about Professor John Mills, Spill Gabra, Eddie Annan, Alaji Mama Idrisu.
Before that time, we've never had those numbers. But the reality on the ground is that if you perform this abysmally, it should tell you that perhaps you should have gotten people to do some basic, what they call test on the ground for you. A survey of sort, who tells you that maybe you're not inching closer to 30%. But there's something also about the Ghanaian delegate in some way.
Unless also, Raymond, the intention was not to win. Unless the intention was not to win.
Oh, but they all said their intentions were to win. Nobody stipulated that their intentions were not to win.
But you know, sometimes people go into these elections to put their names out there, so that in future contests they will be considered.
But none of them said that. Oh, I'm just saying that.
But you don't expect any of them to say that. Okay, let's move from the subject of the NDC elections and touch on men's gold. We now have a figure in terms of how much is owed various Ghanaians.
Yes, this is according to the Minister of Finance, Ken Oforiatta, and he's saying that 200 million is the amount of money owed clients of men's gold. In fact, he says it's outstanding funds which are actually supposed to be raised and distributed to these people. Now, we all do know what happened to the scheme, which is now being touted as some form of a dangerous scheme that people were engaged in. The understanding we have is that government is still in the process of gathering properties and other things that belong to Mr. Nana Pia Mensah and his conglomerate. You do recall that the Yoko boss had issued a statement asking those who are actually having properties belonging to Yoko or are related to Men's Gold, or are related to Men's Gold, Brew Marketing, Brew Energy, and all of its other affiliates, including a certain football company that was supposed to be out of the schemes in this particular range. So what we do know for a fact is that government has raised some of the trace some of the properties. Government is still tracing other properties. When all is said and done, we will raise the money and be able to put it out there. And let me put this on record. They claim that the man had been let go in Dubai, 1, 2, and that he had been given some huge amount of money, almost 500 million US dollars, as it's been put out there by
56 million.
56, right? Okay, 56 million US dollars. It's not true. We all know that the source is dubious and people should not take it serious. I knew that some of the customers of Men's Gold were excited that finally they were going to get their money from that source, but they should stay clued to what government is doing. Tracing the assets, making sure that it's able to liquidate the assets and get the money to the people who deserve it in this particular case.
I want you to come back on that for me quickly. But first of all, the president has also been speaking about the general subject of Ponzi schemes.
Absolutely, and that ties in with what Raymond is talking about regarding Men's Gold. And I think that it is Men's Gold which was also in focus here. The president is advising Ghanaians to be wary of investing into schemes which promise them unrealistic returns. He says that, when people come to you promising all kinds of returns, you have to be careful when you are putting money in these things, in these investments, because the returns simply don't make. He says, let me quote him, when people come and offer returns that are extraordinary, I am pleading with you to be on your guard. That's the president talking, and he was sounding this caution when he met officers and men of the Ghana Armed Forces and all ranks at Deba at the Bema camp. One of the officers had actually pleaded with the president to make an intervention in this Men's Gold debacle. It was on the basis of that plea that the president was advising Ghanaians, and you know that many of the people, in fact, many people in uniform in the military put their money in Men's Gold. I personally know some who went on peacekeeping. When they returned, whatever money that they earned, they went and dumped it there. And of course, the purpose was to get returns. It is for that reason that one of them was appealing to the president to intervene in this matter. And the president says, well, the government is looking into the matter, but only trying to assess all of the properties that this company had and trying to go through a process that will liquidate them and see how many people the money raised can save. But generally, Ghanaians should be careful. When people promise you unrealistic returns, that should be red flag.
There's, however, some confusion in my mind on how this is supposed to proceed. First and foremost, government is doing its own assessment in order to pay out people, right? On the other side, people have gone to court. There are over 100 cases in court, seeking specific amount of money from what's supposed to be Men's Gold's properties. I don't know which one will take precedence over the other, because a court can ask that. Of course, you know what happened in Kumasi, which was an execution supposed to be done by a court in this case.
Property should be liquidated.
Yes, I know that one of the suits before the court, which was filed late last year, is demanding some 23 million from Men's Gold and its other affiliates. And also, we have seen the properties. We know what these things can amount to. It's unclear whose own will be done first. Whether or not the people have gone to court to get their own, or what government is putting together will be distributed first. When the priority goes to the court case first, will there be enough left for the people who have not gone to court, who are waiting on government to be able to go through the process and get the monies required?
Remember, the confusion is worse than that. The Kumasi one that you are referring to, even that one, after the court gave its orders that the property should be sold so that the money will be used to defray this guy's cost, the owner of the property himself has also gone to court saying that this property does not belong to Men's Gold and that the property was leased. And if the property was leased, the Men's Gold does not own it, let alone for you to be able to sell it off and then pay your debts.
My sources, however, tell me that government has been able to identify those properties which actually belong to Men's Gold as an entity. And so government may stand a better chance, because just like the courts did in the Kumasi case, the court has identified properties and they end up not belonging to Men's Gold. So for instance, someone filed an interpleader. But I do know on authority that there are some properties in town that government has identified to be owned by Men's Gold. Whether or not they will be enough, their value will be enough to satisfy the 200 million debts that has been identified, that's a different question. And even the 200 million figure has been disputed by some, saying that it may be more than that. So the Men's Gold chapter is not over in our nation's conversation. But let's move away from that subject now, Raymond, and talk about this blacksmith who is being jailed for sodomy.
Yes, 2 sexual assault stories that are pretty much terrible in page 3 of the Ghanaian Times. This blacksmith is actually attacking his own son. So he has a 9-year-old son. He lives with the son. What he does is that even before the child goes to school every morning, he would actually sodomize the child. And this has gone on for some time until some neighbors reported a 25-year-old in Douglas Sa to the police. He was then arrested and put before court. Thankfully, he's been jailed 7 good years for doing this to his own son. Now, there are others in the community who are saying that this is not it's been going on for almost a whole year. So imagine, the child has been since age 8, virtually every morning, going through the ordeal of how his own father tried to engage him in this particular sodomy act. And that's how terrible the situation is. Now, the grandmother has also intervened, and she's the one who's supposed to take care of the child. It brings me back to the fund that was supposed to be given to rehabilitate and also help kids like this. Now, nobody can convince me that the grandmother has extraordinary competence in rehabilitating a child who's been through sodomy for more than a whole year. That's a very traumatizing experience. I don't know when you are going to get that fund running. And related to this, of course, I should bring another story. Now, 2 friends, they put together a plan. And this is here in Accra, though. And they put together a plan to not sodomize, defile a girl 13 in Nungwa. So their plan was pretty simple. They decided that let's try and say they are sending this girl to go and buy something for us. One hides in the nearby place, then they grab the girl. Then they actually subjected the girl to the act in this case. They defiled the girl. The girl's been bleeding for some time now. Even when she was taken to the hospital, she's still under some form of intensive care because the kind of damage they did to the girl had not been abated yet. Now, they've been arrested, good news, and they put before court. The hope is that this trial will go through easily so that we can get them. They are facing the charge of defilement in this case. And these 2 gentlemen have pleaded not guilty before the court, which is actually under the control of Rita Abrokwaduk.
But again, the victim. What becomes of her? What is being done to protect her? That's a very key point, Raymond. But Malik, let's go back to the Yana issue. I hear some appointments are being made.
Yes, through Kola Nut, right? And
through Kola Nut.
Yes. So the overlord of the Dagbang, he's Yana. Mahama has submitted. He gave Kola Nuts to two of the persons who were regents in the aftermath of the Yendi crisis in 2002. Okay. And so the first one he gave Kola to was the Kampakuyana Yakubu Abdullahi Andani as the Yona. The Yona, that's the chief of Savlugu. You have to remember that the current Yana himself was the chief of Savlugu. He was the Yona before he was made Yana. So the Kampukuyana is now going to be the chief of Savlugu, which means he too can become Yana. Now, the other person who was the Bolin Lana, Abdullahi Mahamadou, he has been sent to Mion Lana. He has been made the Mion Lana. That's the chief of Mion, which means he too can become a Yana. So those 2 villages, Mion and Savlugu, the chiefs there are persons who can rise to become the Yana. So that's what he has done. This is in consonance with the roadmap to peace in Dagbang. Okay. So after the Yana has been selected, these regions have also been sent to villages where they themselves can also rise to become Yana. And of course, this seals the peace agreement there. And the president has been excited about this. And he's been tweeting about it. He said the overlord of Dagbang, Yana Muhammad Abubakar II, is to be applauded for moving quickly to accord Yakubu Abdullahi Andani, formerly the Kampakuyana, and Abdullahi Mahamadou, formerly the Bolin Lana, their new positions in the traditional state of Dagbang to seal the process of reconciliation and begin the new ordering of Dagbang.
Dagbang rising.
Absolutely.
It's still a hashtag Dagbang rising.
Yeah.
But a national security officer, Raymond, is going down.
Yes, he's been grabbed for swindling 4 VRA staff. So the operative of the national security, his name is Isaac Miracle. He's been charged with 4 counts of fraudulent transaction in land. Of course, he's pleaded not guilty, and he's supposed to refund some 12,000 during police investigations. Do you know how this happened? So the man said at Kitasi that he had land available. He contacted one of the VRA staff.
Kitasi, that's at a brewery, right?
Yes. So what the man did was that, I have so much land there, so I can give you all of these at a rate altogether at 60,000 cedis. Then the people expressed interest. The VRA staff expressed interest. First person, and he called 3 others. They said they'll buy the land. The man took the money from the people and vanished. this national security operative, I mean, he was not masked. He's not, the current conversation about status of national security people. But this man was not masked.
Okay,
there
were no mosquitoes.
Yes, there were mosquitoes in the Kitasi area. But his reasoning, okay, he admitted that he took money from people when the police arrested him. He admitted that they were supposed to give them lands to. But his reasoning was that the head of family and the other gentleman was supposed to give the land who took huge chunks of this amount of money and never made the lands available are all dead. So
how convenient.
His accomplice is not in a position to provide the lands for him, and others are also disputing the ownership of the land. That's why he's not be able to provide the lands.
Okay.
And this brings into sharp focus. We've done land administration projects 1 and 2. The crux of what was to make sure that we make land acquisition very easy. Recently, the vice president said we are going to get a digitization process in that particular land acquisition end. Hope that is deployed so that we don't have people telling you that when people die, you can't access the lands they're supposed to have anyway.
Remember when John Peter Mewu was at the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry after Latif Idris did his award-winning documentary Land Wars?
Yeah.
John Peter Mewu said that the reforms going on into the land administration project will be informed. Some of them will be informed by some of the findings that Latif made. He didn't stay long enough to see them through, but I wonder what the handover has been and what, like you said, the status of that particular work that is being done. But we'll go online. And will be the online news review, as always, is brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest and Goyle Good Energy. Now, go light with Zenith Bank and enjoy rewards for MasterCard. From now till the end of February 2019, use any MasterCard on a Zenith Bank POS at Marina Mall Supermarket or as the KFC restaurant at Hacho, Osu, Dansoman, East Legon, and Achimota, and be rewarded with gift vouchers. Don't be left out. Use your MasterCard on a Zenith Bank POS and spend light. Terms and conditions apply. Ask in store for details. Zenith Bank in your best interest. Now, it's a new year and it's still good energy with Goyle, your reliable energy partner. Enhancing your engine performance and prolonging the life expectancy of your vehicle should be a top priority. So continue to get the best quality and value for money from Goyle Super XP and Diesel XP and trusted range of lubricants from our 360 service stations across the country. To all our valued customers, we say thank you. We value our partnership with you. Because of you, we are still #1 and still CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year. Let's continue the partnership to build our economy. Goyle Good Energy, Goyle, proudly Ghanaian. Goyle, Yenara, Yedia. NigeriaOnline.com begins with friends, family of the late Komla Dumo commemorates 5 years of the legend's passing. Reporting on the memorial service that was held at the Holy Spirit Cathedral at Adabraka yesterday. Selfless reporting by Multimedia's Edwin Siao wins prestigious tourism award for Joy News TV. Congratulations to Edwin, our colleague here at the Multimedia Group. AdamOnline.com says NDC mourns 3 members who died in 1 week. And these members are Lee Okran, or we can call him Ambassador Lee Okran, the former Education Minister and High Commissioner to South Africa. Dr. Charles Kranche, a member of the Council of Elders in the Central Region, and Wasiu Idris, who was shot last Monday by some members of the Hawk militia group linked to the party at its regional headquarters in Kumasi. Of course, Johnson Esedun Ketia made this announcement earlier. The BBC.com says a special tribunal is to recover South Africa's stolen money. Interesting news there coming out of South Africa. And we still don't know who the winner of the Nigeria election is, Malik.
No, we don't. Nigerians are waiting anxiously for whether it's going to be old Baba Buhari or it will be Atiku Abubakar, former vice president.
Atiku Abubakar is not that young. When you called one old.
By the competition of the old.
One is older, right?
Okay, so we will be keeping tabs on the Nigeria issue. And so when we come back after the BBC News, we can have some more conversations about that. But now it's time for us to go for the BBC News at 7. Stay with us.